All right, guys. So this is going to be um, my 2025 NFL playoff predictions. We're just going to get started over here at the AFC between the Texans and the Chargers. I think it's going to be a good game. I think all the games are going to be pretty good except for probably one that I'll talk about in a little bit. But the Texans and Chargers, I think the Chargers will be favored, even though they are the away team, right? But they're the away team and the lower seed, right? But they have a better record. I think they're certainly be favored. I think that it is definitely worthy of being favored. And I'm actually going to take the Chargers here in this game. I just think Texans have too many injuries to overcome with Tank Dell, of course, and Stephon Diggs. They also have some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And quite frankly, the Chargers have just been a better team this season than the Houston Texans. So I am going to take the Chargers here. The Ravens and Steelers, I think this is going to be the only game that's not necessarily a close game. Some of these other ones surely have the potential to be like blowout games if one team gets really hot. But I think the Ravens Steelers is easily going to be the biggest difference of of score this week. I'm taking the Ravens by a long shot. They played like a couple weeks ago. The Ravens won 34-17. Steelers did beat them earlier in the season, but the Steelers are on a four-game losing streak, and they just tend to always start out the season good, get to that 10-win threshold, 9-win threshold, and then just absolutely tank the rest of the season. That's exactly what's happening. I do not expect him to have a really competitive game here against the Baltimore Ravens. Bills and Broncos. So this certainly has the potential to be a blowout as well, but I do think Bo Nix and the Broncos keep this close. I think Sean Payton's a good enough coach, certainly to keep this game at least close, and that should be good for the audience, right? No one wants to watch a blowout, especially in the playoffs. I think the Broncos will do enough to keep this game kind of close, but I do think the Bills ultimately win. I think they are the better team, obviously. They have the better quarterback with Josh Allen. And certainly a worse defense for Buffalo, but I think Josh Allen and their offense is going to be too much to overcome for Denver. Also, Von Miller is playing a playoff game against the Denver Broncos, which is kind of funny. But yeah, going into the NFC, then we got the Rams and Vikings. So I do think the Vikings, kind of like the Chargers, they're the lower seed, the away team, but I think they will probably be favored in this game. I mean, the spreads and stuff are already out. I just don't have them pulled up in front of me, but I would assume that the Vikings are the favorites in this game. But with that said, I think it's certainly going to be a close game. The Vikings have been better, all season long, right? Certainly have a way better record. They're one game away from being the number one seed, while the Rams, were like one game away from missing the playoffs. So certainly on different tiers as far as regular season performance goes. But this Rams team has so much playoff experience behind them with Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Sean McVay. A lot of this current roster, right, has a Super Bowl under their name, and most of this team played in a playoff game last year, so they certainly have some more experience. This Vikings team, they haven't made the playoffs in a couple of seasons. Sam Darnold, obviously no playoff experience. Justin Jefferson, I believe, also has no playoff experience himself. So for the Vikings, it's going to be hard for them, even though they've been the better team this regular season. It's going to be really hard for them to overcome that inexperience, the experience gap there. So I am going to take the Vikings here, or the Rams here. Sorry, I'm taking the Rams here in this game over the Vikings, but it should be a close and very fun game. Now the Bucks and Commanders. This one is probably the biggest toss-up, in my opinion. I could definitely see it going either way. One thing I will note: we have a Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore game. We have not had that all season because, of course, Marshawn Lattimore, got traded away from the Saints before the Bucks got an attempt to play them. So this is going to be a very fun game because of that specific rivalry alone. But ultimately, I do think this is probably the best game of the week. A lot of people might not necessarily care about this game as much, but I do think it'll be the best game of the week. Rookie Jaden Daniels, right, has been great all season. Rookie head coach with Washington at least. Dan Quinn should be really, really good here. A good matchup here against Tampa Bay, who has battled injuries all season long. But I do think Baker Mayfield is going to have a really strong performance. But ultimately, I actually think the Bucks fall just short, and the Commanders end up winning this game. Eagles and Packers. So Eagles certainly are favored to win this game. They should win this game. The Packers are going to be without Christian Watson because he just tore his ACL in Week 18. Jordan Love is supposed to be playing. He was questionable. He got injured in last week's game, but they said that he could have came back to that game if he really wanted to, so he should be playing this week. Other than the Christian Watson injury, I don't think they have many major issues to worry about for Green Bay. This is the rematch of the Week 1 game they played in Brazil, and that game came down to the last play of the game. So this one very well could come down to the last play of the game as well. But I am going to take Philadelphia to win this game, probably by more than one possession, if I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. So that leads us into the second round here, where we got the Chiefs and Chargers in the AFC. Chiefs and Chargers playing each other for the third time this season. Chiefs won first two matchups. It is very, very difficult to beat a team three times in the same season. But I think Kansas City gets this done. I don't really think this needs much explanation. Patrick Mahomes has never not made a conference championship game, so I don't think he breaks that streak here against the Chargers, especially because they've already beat them twice. A lot of people say it's hard to beat a team twice, or it's hard to beat a team three times, but like, if you're just better than a team, then you should beat them three times if you play them. Like, part of that logic doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my brain, right? Historically, it's been kind of an accurate feat, right? When Tampa Bay and New Orleans played a few years ago in the playoffs with Tom Brady, the Saints won both regular season matchups, and then the Bucs beat them in the playoffs. But I think that's just because Tom Brady is a different monster in the playoffs, and Patrick Mahomes is a different monster in the playoffs as well. And they won the first two matchups, so there's no reason they should not beat the Chargers this time. Bills and Ravens, probably the game of the week, probably the game of the entire playoffs. I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. Like this is an insane matchup that we have obviously not gotten all season long. Top two MVP favorites, right? Two of the best offenses in the league. Defenses are both decent enough, but certainly struggling compared to some of the other teams that are in the playoffs left. But this should be a high scoring game, probably the highest scoring game, combined score at least for this playoffs. It's going to be very, very entertaining. It's going to rival, probably not to quite the extent of the Chiefs-Bills divisional round where they went into overtime, of course. But I could definitely see this game being as high scoring as that game, potentially going to overtime as well. Like, it's going to be a very, very, very memorable, whatever that word is, memorable divisional round matchup. And I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens actually in this game. It's going to be very, very close, very, very fun. But this right here, I think is going to come down to head coaching, which I think Harbaugh certainly wins that battle. So next, going to NFC, we got Detroit Lions and the Washington Commanders. Again, I don't think this needs much explanation. I'm taking the Lions here in this game. David Montgomery has the potential to be back for this game, so that's going to be huge for this Lions team, as well as just they've been the best team potentially in football all year long, right? 15-2. I think they have the highest point differential of any team this season. They've just been very, very good, obviously, right? And I don't think they lose in their first game, especially to a rookie quarterback. Like, it's going to be very difficult for this Commanders team to beat this Lions. This Commanders team has already overperformed all season long. They're 12-5. Making to the divisional round would be very, very good for Dan Quinn in his first year there, for rookie Jaden Daniels, right? It gives the Commanders plenty of hope for the future. But I just think, I don't think they make a run to the conference championship in Jaden Daniels' rookie season. That would be really cool. I just don't think it happens. Eagles, Rams, this should be very good as well. Both these teams have really talented rosters, right? Have plenty of playoff experience on their rosters. Of course, Saquon Barkley doesn't have much experience. He played, I think, one playoff game, right? Maybe, in New York. But the rest of this Philly roster has a lot of experience. A lot of this team went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the Kansas City Chiefs. So again, their head coach, I think the head coaches certainly goes to Los Angeles Rams, but the star power of the Philadelphia Eagles offense with A.J. Brown and, of course, Saquon Barkley, I think is going to be a little bit too much for the Rams to handle. I'm taking the Eagles here, but it should be an absolute thriller as well. Going back to the AFC Conference Championship game, it is a rematch of last year between the Chiefs and the Ravens, I believe. Chiefs obviously won that game. They went on to win the Super Bowl. I think we're going to have a similar feat here with the Chiefs winning once again. This is going to be a very, very good game as well. Obviously, we get a good storyline here with Hollywood Brown playing against the Ravens in the playoffs, so that's worth noting. The Ravens are certainly improved offensively, probably where they were last year, adding Derrick Henry to that team. But the Chiefs, also took it a step up potentially offensively as well. I know it doesn't necessarily seem like that because they haven't had a whole bunch of high-scoring games, but they have more weapons on offense this year than they had last year. That's not really even debatable. So I think it's going to be, again, I think it's going to go down to the wire. These teams played each other week one, right? Chiefs won that game by a touchdown, really by an inch with Isaiah Likely his toe being out of bounds. I think it could easily come down to the last play of the game again, and Harrison Butker wins it on a field goal. Justin Tucker, actually it might come down to Justin Tucker has a chance to send it into overtime or something, and then he just absolutely shanks the kick because he's Justin Tucker and he's not good this year. But yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs here, but it should be a very close game, kind of like it was in Week 1. Lions Eagles, very fun matchup here. Certainly the top two teams in the NFC all season long. Obviously the Vikings are kind of in conversation for that as well, but I would say the Eagles are better than the Vikings. They're the top two seeds, right? They've been two of the best three teams, at least in the NFC all season long, and certainly a matchup that I would love to see. It's going to be high scoring, I believe. Again, the Eagles offense with Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley is absolutely insane. Devontae Smith as well. Where the Lions with Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams even, and the running back tandem, if David Montgomery does end up coming back, that's going to be an insane offensive battle between both of these teams. Personally, I am going to take the Philadelphia Eagles here, and that is mainly because I think Saquon Barkley is going to have an absolute amazing game in this game in Detroit to carry them to the Super Bowl. Right now, this Super Bowl matchup is something that pretty much no NFL fan wants. Nobody wants nobody wants the Chiefs in there in general, and I don't think anyone wants the Eagles in there as well because they were just in the Super Bowl a few years ago against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a pretty boring matchup in terms of narratives because, again, kind of like last year with Chiefs versus San Francisco, nobody really wanted that matchup again because people knew pretty much, we're going to have the same freaking storyline. Chiefs are probably going to go win this game. The Niners lose in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs yet again. And that's probably the same thing that happens this time, right? The Eagles play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again. The Eagles lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again, right? The Chiefs are going to be my pick here, mostly for that reason. Like, they beat them in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I think the narrative is just there for them to go back and forth to the Niners, Chiefs, or the Niners, Eagles, and win all four of them. That'd be really funny, first of all. And I think, obviously, matchup-wise, right, Chiefs are going to have a hard time stopping the Eagles just in general, right? They're a really, really good offense. But the Chiefs, I think, offense has been growing pretty much each week. They're getting guys healthier and stuff. I think they're going to really hit their stride in the playoffs, of course. And against the Eagles defense isn't that great. Chiefs defense is significantly better than the Eagles defense. I think that is going to be the difference maker here in this game. Eagles probably stay within one possession, but I do think the Chiefs end up winning the Super Bowl once again. So yeah, that's going to be it for that video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out my Power Rankings video, which should come out either later today or tomorrow. And goodbye.